Welcome to the opening panel of Avant Première 2025, one that marks a new chapter not only for the organization behind this great and necessary event, but for the industry as a whole. To set the scene, we speak a lot about shaping the future and have heard for many years about the rapidly changing landscapes of the industry. You've even come across it in the abstract of this very panel. It's a wonderfully convenient, all-encompassing phrase that serves many functions. There's no denying that there are many, many changes and many happening very quickly. And all those many changes happening at the same time offer multiple opportunities to come up with innovative solutions and the right fix for the problem at hand. The industry is busy. But what about the landscape itself? Landscapes take time to form, to shape. Their change is gradual. Of course, in the face of climate change and turbulent politics and economics, when all of the weather is hitting the land and all the hands that touch the land are scratching and scraping at the same time, it makes for a lot at once. But the change itself is not immediate. The damage is, but the lasting change takes a while to reveal itself. There is no one way the land settles, no one fixed solution. So what are we actually saying when we talk about shaping the future? The audience in this room does wonderful work to put out the fires, ride the waves, survive the heat with new approaches, adapted practices, boundary-pushing programming, recontextualized content. But the landscape of the cultural industry remains the same and continues to be up against budget cuts, political ideologies, and is constantly fighting to stay relevant. Decisions are made on a daily basis, yet the Titanic doesn't change course. The needle doesn't shift. The landscape erodes, but how do we help it bloom and blossom and withstand the inevitable storms that will undoubtedly continue? We can all agree here that cultural programming is relevant and important. It is good and beautiful and full of talent and history, cultural heritage and creative thought. But what is it not fulfilling? What are the prohibitions, the parameters to relevance? We have a truly unique opportunity here to gather some answers that will undoubtedly make for not just newfound understanding, but new goals, targets, and outcomes for all those who work in the music and media industry and who provide the content for public service, cultural programming. The questions we pose today have long been asked, but the answers have never been powerful enough to inform the necessary change. So to the panel, thank you, each of you, for coming today, to have this conversation, to share your insights, and to help move the needle and set the tone of this international gathering. A round of applause for our panel for being here today. Wait and see, you might not like what they have to say. Jean-Paul, I'd like to start with you. We had a very lively discussion before this panel took place, but you said some very interesting things that I think we should use to begin the conversation. Three main issues that you see today facing public service media. Could you elaborate on what those three were for us, please?
Yeah, thanks. And first of all, thanks for Peter to this wake-up call. Culture is key in society. And as public broadcaster, we are children of democracy and children of the European perspective based on freedom, diversity, and respect. When we talk about culture and society today, we cannot ignore the role of public broadcaster of bridge between creators, artists in one side, and citizen society in the other side. During the last decades, broadcasters were part of this bridge. But everything changed. The good thing is that there will be always creators and society. The question mark is how we will bridge, connect tools. When I look what's our pillars as public broadcaster, I say three things. First, content. Original content, quality content, and you in these rooms, you create such content. The second challenge is connection. In the past, we always have universal services, this capacity to reach everyone. it's not anymore the case. How do we connect people is challenging today. And the third thing is trust. Without trust, no relationship, no impact. And as I look at our challenge today, I think that we have to reshape end-to-end the relationship between creators and citizens. That means for us, be focused on content. And when we look about content, we have to face saving, cutting our public financing in every country. Tomorrow morning, majority of my colleagues in Europe will be working to cut job in their company, to save money, to reduce the scope of the right they can invest. That's our day-to-day challenge today. So, first challenge, how to produce and how to support the creative sectors with less money than before. But the second challenge is connection. We don't have any more universal services. And when today we talk about connection, we talk about technology, formats, we talk about platforms, recommendation, data, everything which is completely new. And when you look at the figures, Netflix will spend more than 1 billion in technology this year. And the biggest public broadcasting in Europe will invest less than 200 million. That means that we have to collaborate, definitely. And when you talk about trust, is trust in any kind of content. That means quality journalism, pluralism, and quality content. That's maybe not the main issue today, but we are under pressure of part of the political landscape which fight against us, which launch a cultural war against us. And that breach the trust also. But definitely, and I will stop, I think that we lived during the last decades big in our small country. We are today too small in a global world. So, if we want to reshape the model, we need to collaborate more. We need to shift from an ecosystem to an ecosystem for the culture, for the arts, for the democracy and the European model. That means that I came from a small country, Belgium. I'm nothing in the world. If I want to promote culture, performance art, creators in Belgium, I think that in the future the best way is not invest in my own platform. It's worked with Arte, which is a cultural European brand, abandon my ego and support what's the better in Europe. And when I'm told to connect, I have to develop platform, not by myself. We will spend less than 50 million euro against 1 billion in Netflix, but work with ZDF, France Télévisions, RAI. And when I talk about production content, maybe and with you, we have to engage discussion about intellectual properties and not only and always write for such format in such windows to broadcast. So we have to reshape.
Lots to unpack, thank you for that. I just want to take the same question to Natalia and ask you exactly the same thing, how you see it at the moment. What are the main challenges that you're facing?
Basically for us, the main challenge is to survive. It's been the challenge to survive for so many years because we are a small public service media from a very small country, only 2 million of inhabitants. So we have everything what the big public service media has. And last year at this time, our symphony orchestra and our big band and our music choruses were about to be shut down because it's like the cost of working force and everything is about 5 million euros. And if you just cut them out, You know, you get money for the new fiction series, for the new newsroom and everything. And the ex-president of the board was very much against them, and the moment they were, you know, they went to the symphony orchestra went to a concert to Berlin, and they were so sad. They didn't know if when they come back they would get the job or they would have the job or not. So me and my colleague, who is expert in sales, we tried to find the sponsors, you know, to save the orchestra, and we were able to save it. And then basically, maybe also because of this problem, I decided to become what I am now, because normally maybe I wouldn't do this because it's a too tough job. But basically now we are in time to enter the cost of the symphony orchestra into our new law, so that the state is obliged to pay for the orchestra, which I think is a big success. For us, the relevance is really important, you know, what our users think. But I think also that the public service media needs to be a role model, needs to show something more than the people, you know, because now everybody says, you know, look what the people want, you know, what your users are there for. Okay, we need to look for them on all the platforms. But why are we editors? Why are we, you know, people who think about the content? Is to offer a good content in a way which is adaptable to their way of thinking and way of doing things. So give them the good content in the way which is like very close to them. So give the classical music to the young people, but in how they accept it. So of course our department for classical music is so poor. Its budget, it's 200,000 euros a year. This includes 2 people who are working there, so we don't have a lot of staff, we don't have a lot of money, but what we have is we have a lot of enthusiasm, we have passion, and I think this passion is something which also gives a difference to different media. So public service media is still entity where a lot of passionate people work. And when I see Art and Wolfgang, who is also a passionate person like I am, and when we were talking before, why wouldn't we take Arte as our brand, you know, and do like a streaming platform for all the culture we have in our media? Of course, there will be intellectual property rights, which will be, which are always the problem, and we need to ask for the help of maybe European Union to help us with some, you know, support, you know, to enhance the author's wish, you know, to be present everywhere. Because if we, I can tell you like the story about 2 authors from our company. There is one in this morning, if you were here, you saw the streaming. There is one guy, he's called Dusan Hrent, all director, composer, everything, and he gave his rights for free to our public service media. So his program is all the time on our TVs, on the streaming platform, it's on the radio. While the others, they didn't give us the rights. So sometimes we air some things when there is like a anniversary or something. But normally, basically, as there is no money and as there is no need, we don't care about their work. This is unfortunate, but we enhance young composers. We try to get young authors. But the one, you know, who decided that his work is more important than his pocket, in fact now is more visible, and he's, I would say, happier. He's 96 and he's still alive and kicking. So the challenge in our institution is still how to survive, be relevant, stay relevant, and how to get to as much users as possible.
Thank you. We'll come back to a lot of what you were talking about as well, but just to give everyone a chance to speak, Wolfgang, I come to you. Arte's a successful example. What's the secret?
I have no idea, because we argue a lot, and we have not a real arte boss. There are lots of people who think they are the boss, and none is really. So this is one part of the success, I think.
Would you recommend that model?
So. But yes, we do collaborate, and we have some experience with collaboration within Europe. And what I wanted to say is, I'm writing reports for my boards since 350 years, 50 times a month, and I'm usually, after a while you're running out of words or ideas how to end those reports. So the standard ending of the report is, we are living in difficult times in Europe, and if there was not arte, it's now time to invent arte. But now it's true. Now it's true what I wrote all the time, so it's a little bit difficult to repeat, but it's true. Because we are now definitely in deep shit, because we are in war. There is a cultural war. Our good old big brother US, not the people, but the ones who conquered the White House, they are in war with the values of our culture.
Would you say collaboration is the way forward?
Well, if we want to create Europe and not go on like we do so far, we have to ally, we have to collaborate and give an answer. And our strongest and best and most convincing answer is our culture.
Great moment to bring Lucia into the conversation. Lucia, I'd ask you to just reflect on what Wolfgang said, but then also, how would we define what it means to be European? What are we saying when we say European culture?
Well, let me start really going back to the 50s when the European community was created. Initially it was an economic project, but one of the founding fathers, Jean Monnet, said, if I had to do it again, I would have started with culture. And I think that's a recognition of the power of culture in bringing people together. Well, we didn't start with culture, unfortunately, but in the meantime we have developed something else, that a community, economic one. We have a community of values in the European Union. And if we have to define what European culture means today, said it's united in diversity. United because we all defend the same principles. It's artistic freedom, it's media freedom, it's our values, our democracy, but at the same time it's a diversity of languages, a diversity of landscapes that is part of our richness, but at the same time that contributes to a certain fragmentation. So what we have done at European level? Well, we don't have that many competences at European level when it comes to culture. What we do is to complement, enrich, and support what the member states do. And actually what we have done is to foster this collaboration. I'd say there are many wonderful examples of the activity of the European Union. With Arte, for example, now we support Arte in 4 more linguistic versions, from German and French to Italian, Spanish, English, and Polish. But maybe the most important contribution we have made is that we have created a community of creative professionals that really understand Europe beyond their national borders. So this community of talented people and professionals. And I think this is very important. But now we need to take this collaboration to the next level. Because until now, collaboration was seen as something nice to do. It's nice to collaborate with other people, maybe, especially, I would say, in big public national institutions. But now collaboration is a necessity. In these days, with all the challenges you have mentioned, this new geopolitics, we have no choice. We need to align, we need to pool resources, And it's something more about resources. I said it. We are not only going to create a European culture by bringing resources. It's a matter of bringing talent, creating communities as well.
So the next level of collaboration, this is really to all of you. What does that look like?
I can start?
Sure.
I don't think there is one size fits all models of collaboration because, again, Europe is very diverse. And I think we need to look into the opportunities wherever they are. We are very happy, for example, that now Ukraine is full member of the Creative Europe Family Program, the program I'm happy to manage at European level. Maybe there was the unfortunate events in Ukraine accelerated an integration of the creative community with the European one. So, there are opportunities there that we really need to tap into and take advantage of.
How? How? What would that first step look like?
I don't think this is something that sometimes you can impose. There has to be a willingness and understanding of the different players that they really want to get it out together.
Yeah.
Again, I'm giving a lot of examples, but one I'm particularly proud of is this network of European cinemas in Europe, Europa Cinema. Maybe you have to your local cinema, you see this European flag. Is a wonderful project that has united more than 2,000 cinema theaters in medium-sized and big cities all over Europe. And they share, I would say, even an identity. They are happy working together, discovering together how to attract talent, how the content can be made to the public in a way that attracts them, that triggers them, that engages them. And is much more than the addition of the amount of money that could go to each individual cinema in Europe. It has created again this community, but initially at the very beginning there was a willingness on their side to work together to face common challenges. So I don't think that collaboration is something that can be imposed from Brussels. Certainly this is by no means our intention, but this is something that you have our commitment and we will nurture it. And we'll be working side by side with you to take it to the next level.
So we know that there's a need for good quality content that connects, content that is relevant. Collaboration can add to the sharing of resources and can alleviate some of the budget constraints that we have. So we all agree that that's important and that's necessary. Where is it? Why is it not happening?
So, from my experience, the most important thing is the cheapest. A common mindset that costs nothing. Why as public broadcaster, why as producer of cultural content, why as creator, why to do this job? Do we have the same goals? To share some same values? When we talk intellectually, yes, no problems. I think that we can make here polls, we will have 100% good responses. When we come back in our office, we'll talk about our own audience, our own platform, our own database, our own right, our own revenues, and everything is nothing. When we look, what are the 5 biggest databases on cultural behavior in the world? Huge. Alphabet, Meta, Amazon, TikTok, Alibaba. They know everything about cultural behavior in the world. Where is Europe? Where is Belgium? Where are public broadcasters? They are not on the screen. We have to work together. We have to merge our database. We have to exchange our knowledge. We have to develop together platforms. There is an emergency there. We cannot say in one hand our cultural wall, where's culture, we are promoting all values of Europe, and in the other hand, walking in a corner alone. And the first step is a common mindset. Costs nothing, but it's difficult. And I think maybe that we have thanked Mr. Trump, Mr. Musk, because now they show us that they have the power, they have the leverage, and they don't share our values. It's a wake-up call.
So, wake-up call. Yeah, Natalia, where do we go from there? Where do we find the allies that we need to find to make this possible?
I think that, coming from a very, very small country, we were always looking for allies if we wanted to do something. So if you want to have an allies, then you need to, we were discussing before, and I'm making a citation of Jean-Paul's words, that we need to, just lower our ego. A lot of the times when we do the cooperation with the so-called big companies and big public service media, and we are so small and normally we don't have money, but we have creative potential. They have this big ego with the money and everything, and then it's really a long time of negotiation to get together, even with our neighbors who are just once bigger than us, to do things together. As we were talking before, and also Jean-Paul, sorry, I will be taking your words again, he said that he's very pessimistic about the situation. I'm just the opposite, very optimistic. In our country, we've had a small Trump. In 2020, he came to the power, and he did a lot of harm to our public service media, and we survived just because we were working together, and we struggled against him together, and all the country struggled against him together, and on the elections, the next elections, we won, and I think he will never get the majority again. He will be he will get some percentage, but never again place in the government. So always the crisis is a big challenge, and the challenges bring the change in the people. Because old Europe, we never thought that we were like the typical Europeans, because we always have some changes. We had the war, we have everything, it's the Balkans, it's always something wrong. Or there is a war, or there are quarrels, or there are political changes. So we are always in some kind of mess and crisis and everything. But we realize that this is our quality, because we are constantly pushed to change, to adapt, to do some new things, to invent stuff. So all the crises, we should look into the crisis as a place for, to get something out of it. Like, for example, the COVID crisis. What COVID came to our public service media was huge. Suddenly everybody was much more motivated. I said, we have potential, everybody is at home, let's do whatever we want. And everybody was working more, nobody asked for the special payment, nothing. Immediately when COVID came out, everybody asked for the payment and extra hours and everything. But I think this crisis in Europe will make us rethink, what are our values, why people are coming to Europe, because of culture. What is Europe known for? For culture. Where is the nest of the culture in Europe? So I think that we need to think about also when Rutte says that at the conference in Munich, when he said we need to cut off the budget for education, for culture, and our presidents were there and they were just quiet. I felt really bad. I said, this is not okay, something's wrong in this. We need to act. So I think if we do something together, I'm telling, we have the Arte, we have the brand in Europe. So if we can be the first one to give content to Arte for free. We will be the first one. Then there will be another ones. When one comes and then the other joins, you just need to move, because the first move is the most important. The one who does the first move at the end suffers the most. But, starts the movement, and that's really important. So we will start.
You heard it here first. Well, let's write it down.
I love you. But she's completely right. We have to do something concrete, and I also like you pushing us to not talking about the clouds, but to tell what do you mean? What's concrete? I'll give you an example. The best thing we can do is to show that we collaborate and create things that are seen and heard. And I can pick up what Peter said. He's creating this again, and he showed us in a wonderful way that it's not la pour la what we are doing, that there is a reason for all this, and it was in all the decades of your wonderful work. And that just right now through, for example, Ukrainian Freedom Orchestra and what they are doing, at least they give a signal. It's a big reminder that there is something going wrong, and there are good people who not only gunfire back, but use music. So we help this spreading. Everybody, every broadcaster here, the signal is for free for you. Take it, spread it, show it in your country, do it. And if we would do that all together, everybody shows it, it would be a huge event, and it's for nothing. We don't even need money. It's just working together. This is one example, and we can do it now.
Lucia, I want to, please, big round of applause. Lucia, I want to ask you on that basis, in your position, you have a unique advantage of seeing some of the reasons why these things don't end up working. Can you tell us a little bit about the failures, or what can we learn from that to make sure that doesn't happen moving forward?
Well, that's a difficult question. I think it has to start with a purpose. Where do we want to do? What we would want to do together? And we have had examples in the past of a segment of the community saying, we want to do this together. But you know that if someone else trying to do something similar in another corner, and then you try to bring them together, and it doesn't work. So sometimes, you mentioned egos, I don't know whether it's egos or not, but there is still a reluctance. It's a lack of trust. I'm trying to find the right words. It has not been, as I said before, as a necessity. I really want to scale up at European level, so that my project is the one that is going to be the prevailing one in this landscape. And if the reflection is, we are all together in this boat, and this boat is really navigating in very, very shaky waters, how can we be sure that we arrive at our destination? Then you have a mission, you have a purpose, and you start discussing, how are we going all together to contribute to that mission? I think, as I said, it has to be purpose-driven. And nowadays, certainly, there are, many reasons why we should embark in this kind of new ventures. You know that public service media produce 55% of the content that is produced in Europe? But I'm not sure that this circulates and travels, because a lot of effort is being put on the production of the content by each of the individual broadcasters, but not a similar effort is put in pooling resources so that content can travel. So
I'm just going to interrupt you there. I'm really glad you bring up that point, because I believe the figure is 15 billion euros was spent to create content. Content is there, but where's the budget for the tech, we also had a conversation about the branding, the necessity for branding and having that data, that IP. We have 5 minutes left, so we're probably not going to be able to get into too much detail of it, but What about a reallocation of the budget to make sure that there is a chance of rivaling some of the things, some of these big five that you were talking about?
Yeah, important to remind, the content are there. And your commitment here and MIZ demonstrate that we have creators, we have producers, we have original quality content. And when I listen to young audience, young creators, the next generation is already there, and they share the same value of respect, of diversity, of freedom. How we do the shift, that's our responsibility. We have first accept that we have to shift part of our budget to tech and data, which is completely new for us. New platform, digital platform, they start with tech and data, and then they discover that they need content. At that moment, maybe a bit stupid, we give them for free our content. And they create the audience. And behind the audience, the revenue. And they keep the revenue from broadcaster to their shareholders. And they don't reinvest the same average. Broadcaster, they invest more or less 80% of all their revenue in content. They invest a few parts. So, we have to reshape, we have to reorient our revenues. Thanks to technology, we saw this AI tools to produce cheaper quality content. We have to embrace that. That's a huge challenge, human challenge internally. That's our job. We have, as public broadcaster, we have to reshape our organization. But we are too small. So in terms of technology, we have to work together. We have to put our energy, our resources, our money together, and then working with the open minds, share the results. And we have to merge our database to better know cultural behavior and work with all the ecosystem, with cultural institutions, which invest also in digitalization. We have also database, and we have to work with creators to move from right to IP and from IP to multi-format for same content, to address each part of the audience, which is own usage. That's the challenge. So it's internal, it's together, and to be focused on this bridge that part of our job between creators and society.
Wonderful. Given the time frame, is that it? All right. Well, what a great bunch of takeaways to end this discussion on. Not enough time. To the pessimists in the room, please keep talking to each other. To the optimists, please talk to the pessimists. It's still a bright future. Natalia.
I'm sorry, but I must say something what I heard from one of the directors from Bosnia during the war. He said, why do people take care of their cars more than they take care of themselves? Because the cars take them somewhere, they don't take themselves anywhere. And I think we can stop with that.
We'll leave the final word there. Thank you so much to our panelists, Wolfgang, Natalia, Lucia, and Jean-Paul. Ladies and gentlemen, back to Laetitia. Thank you very much.
Thank you to the wonderful panelists. Thank you, Jean-Paul, Lucia, Natalia, and Wolfgang. So it will be our mission at IMZ to pursue this debate with all the actors here, and we will. And for now, I'm going to give you the word, Max, because you should stay in the room for a very special screening.
We're gonna start with the first special screening of Avant Première this year, which is Gustavia and the Black Prince, presented by Auditorium Films, Elsevier Films, and Swedish Public Television. And until we clean the stage,